So it's been a while since I put together a video like this where I actually did something of interest to the field in which I am attempting to garner YouTube fame. And that is, of course, build a computer. I'm in the process of moving, so that's kind of difficult considering all my stuff was in storage, but I decided to go dig it out considering that the staging is now done and now most of the horseshit's over and done with. Pull some parts out and actually put together a build for you, and concurrently conclude Unshitboxing 3, which I kind of just left hanging there. So let me go find some shit to sort of comprise a workspace here and point the camera at my big fat ass and let's see what we can do. You want to win a copy of this fucking game, don't you? Rise to Ruins looks like some good shit. Stay tuned to the end of the video to find out how. Okay, so I'm basically going to build this computer on a little fucking three-legged, so it's a little wobbly, fucking end table on a carpet. Because that's the best I've got here. Case, SRM01. You may recognize it. I've used it a lot on this channel. And as always, let's open her up and get her cleaned out first. Bye-bye instruction book. Okay, great. Now let's play the game of digging through boxes to find the one motherboard you're after and hope it still works. I think we found the motherboard we want. Is this one. You may remember it from my unshitboxing videos. Specifically, part number 3. When I went to go buy the computer off that guy, it turns out he had a lot of stuff. Now, I didn't end up buying the package that I had originally planned on buying. I bought additional stuff and mixed and matched a bunch of crap. This motherboard came with 8 gigabytes of RAM at the time and an i3-2120. And I picked all that up for 70 bucks. And considering the price of RAM these days, I mean, that's quite the fucking deal, even if it is DDR3. I'm gonna find those 8 gigs of RAM and put them in this board, but that's generally the bones of what we're going with today, along with an i5-2400. Now, the reason I didn't finish Unshitboxing 3 is because I got home and was like, oh yeah, I got tons of Sandy Bridge i5s. And it turns out, no, I didn't. I had none left. None that weren't K variant anyway. And you don't want to put an overclockable CPU in a locked board, so the idea was, I'll just wait until I replenish my supply of Sandy Bridge i5s and then make a video. Well, 4 fucking months later, now I just need to find the I/O shield for it and all my I/O shields. Okay, I'm gonna get it on the first try. You watch? Here we go. Let's take this one. Is this it? Oh my god. Yeah, that's definitely it. It's one of those solid steel motherfuckers with padding behind it. Holy crap. Is that even gonna fit in this case? Let's see. Alright, fuck it. Pliers. Or wrench, or whatever this is. I'm gonna have to bend these little tabs back and hope. Oh, that's working. Just a little bit. And we can hammer them back in after. Alright, that should work. My wife has decided to join me for the filming. You're gonna hear her in the background and maybe occasionally get a flash of her puss. Okay, maybe not. By the way, since I sold the i3-2120 that I mentioned for 20 bucks, the motherboard and RAM combo, which are going to be repurposed for this build, would have cost me 50. Processor I picked up a couple days ago for 40. And the case, as I already mentioned, was 23. What does that put us up to total-wise, honey? What's 53 plus 40? Wait a minute. I know. I'm just hamming it up for the camera. 50 plus 40 plus 23 is $113 so far. Alright, folks. Bad news is the stock cooler is not going to work on these because the mounting holes are a little bit thicker than usual. But on the plus side, I have a spare Cooler Master Gemin 2, or whatever the fuck it's called, lying around that I could probably slap on here. So let me see if that works. Yeah, see, what actually happened with this motherboard is the base plate was attached to it. And I probably looked at the top half of the cooler that came with this and was like, oh, I don't have the bottom half, so I'm going to throw it out. Here we are now. Dear Cooler Master, your mounting mechanism sucks, which is why you're losing a lot of your market share to cryo rig. Alright, looks like pretty good contact. Now let's find a fan to put on this fucking thing. Alright, RAM is installed. Let's hope it's good. Alright, now I found this 140mm fan with 120mm fan mounts, and that should go on top of this cooler. Once again, lesson learned, don't lose your stock coolers or throw them out if you happen to sell your home and move to another place that's slightly larger and keeps your wife happier. Considering the space I am working in, I will be stunned if this actually boots. Okay, some of the sacrifices you make buying a motherboard like this is that we will not be able to connect the front audio because it looks like the pin outs are not standard, and we're going to have to do some finagling with the front panel headers. They're standard distance apart, so I just have to find one ground and the one that activates the on switch, but otherwise I'm just gonna have to either wing it or not connect any of these fucking lights and bullshit, which is totally fine. Nobody gives a fuck. On the plus side, we do have USB 2.0 headers here. That's pretty good. Oh, but it looks like there's 2 extra pins in each one. What's that about? Next, let's move on to storage. Micron, 128 gigabyte SATA 2, it looks like SSD. It'll do just fine for this build, I think. I'm not sure of the intended purpose for this build yet, to be perfectly honest, but I might just keep it as a LAN PC, and for those purposes, a drive like this would be just fine. It's going to give me about 100 gigabytes of space for the odd game here and there. So let's just go with this. That SSD cost me 30 bucks when I bought it. It might cost a little bit more in today's dollars, but that's one of the last ones in my little stash. Next up, power supply. We have a Seasonic 350 watt bronze rated thing. I picked up a lot of these, of course. If you've watched my channel regularly, you know that I acquire these for $10 a piece, and that gives you a hint as to what kind of graphics card I'm going to be putting in this thing, because this doesn't have a 6-pin PCIe power connector. So get your guessing hat on now. Okay, so $10 power supply and $30 SSD puts us up another 40 bucks to 153. And last but not least, we have the obvious card, 1050 Ti that I picked up for 140 Canadian dollars, which is really, really good considering the going rate of these things new. Nothing special about this, other than that it doesn't require a 6-pin power connector. That's been removed here. None has been soldered on. So this operates just off board power. There we have it. Zero cable management. Well, that's not true. There's a couple of cable ties in there, but nothing too fancy. Most of it's just stepped up here in the bay. Ugly as sin, but let's see how she runs. Well, there you have it. Some completely unscientific, largely inaccurate benchmarks. I chose medium settings on all of them, or standard preset, just so that you knew if you wanted better frame rates, you had a little bit more you could cut into just to get that FPS up. The bottom line is a build like this, the one that's currently sitting behind me and still powered on because I'm careless and don't care about the environment, is an excellent way to go for someone who's looking for entry-level PC gaming. It is very low-powered, quiet, and most of all cheap. Anyhow, the moving process here is almost done. Like, we got like maybe a week and a half to go or something like that. So celebrating might be a little bit premature, but what the fuck. Remember how I said that game Rise to Ruins, which by the way is a beautiful little real-time strategy city builder kind of ActRaiser godlike thing where you know, build villages and farm for resources and all that good shit. Well, you're not gonna have to wait until the next video to find out how to win them, because the Steam keys for them, coming directly from the developer, are in this video. And if you were astute and observant, you would have found them by now. Anyway, of all the pet projects that are out on the internet today, I would say Rise to Ruins is the one, or at least one of the ones that I would endorse the heaviest and tell you to play the most. It's an early access game where the developer clearly gives a shit, and moreover, it's not story driven, so it's not the kind of game that you can't play if it's unfinished. New features will be added, but in its current state, it's very playable and very enjoyable, and I would highly recommend that you look into it. Anyhow, next weekend probably won't have a video, or if it is, it'll be a short one, but I should be back to a semi-regular schedule the weekend following, so stay tuned for that. And once again, I apologize for being absent. I haven't got anywhere. I'm just taking a little break to have a real life, okay? Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again soon.